Good morning. Pat Ziemer here with MagnaWave. Glad to be with you here this morning. As you know, we try to come to you about every Tuesday morning to discuss whatever you might want to talk about with regard to MagnaWave, PMF therapy, machines, training, certification, whatever it may be. If you have a question, we're certainly here to try to answer those questions. You can ask your questions by posting them on the Facebook thread, or you can post them on the YouTube thread, because we are broadcasting live to YouTube as well at this time. Plus, we're on the Castbox app. There'll be a link posted in the for you to be able to go to Castbox. Castbox is more like a radio station. There's no video, but you can listen there as you're driving or whatever, if that's more comfortable for you. To those who are joining us on Castbox this morning, good morning. We're glad you're here. If you'd like to talk with us, simply ask to come into the conversation through your Castbox app, and we can have a conversation with you as well. Those of you who do choose to talk with us live, whether through Castbox or on the phone, simply send me a text to 502-599-9722, 502-599-9722, and I will give you a ring back, and we can have a conversation about whatever it is that you might like to discuss. One of the callers today, or one of the people that we talk to live, will be entered to win a gift bag that has MagnaWave gear, cups, shirts, brochures, all kinds of things, chapsticks, whatever it may be, MagnaWave gear. They put together a very nice package. So one of the folks who talks with us today will be eligible to receive the MagnaWave gear gift pack. So give me a shout, let's talk, and answer whatever questions that you may have. I do have some questions that have come up. Let me take a quick look over here and say if there's any questions. No, nothing's as yet. Let me check Castbox. Nothing as yet from Castbox. We have some questions that have come in this week, and I would like to go over them with you. I have a client who is going to start clinical stage 4 breast cancer, a clinical trial. Would there be any reason that she cannot continue MagnaWave or HydroWave? Well, the basis to that question is no, there'd be no reason. However, if it is a full-fledged clinical trial, they're probably going to have parameters that they're dealing with on their trial, so everything is the same, so they can see whatever it is they're doing, whatever they're trying to determine. They're probably going to want to stay within those parameters so they can get an accurate reading. That'd be the only reason that someone would not be able to continue with their PMF treatments with MagnaWave or with the HydroWave water. So that's you need to check with the doc. That would be the thing to do. However, this person can do whatever they wish, but if they're in a study and then maybe they're being compensated or whatever, they probably do need to clear that particular question with their doctor. Another question, trying it at MagnaCon, a practitioner purchased a brain tap. Have a new client recently diagnosed with vertigo and wondering if doing a session with the light therapy would help with the anxiety connected to the vertigo. Well, certainly the brain tap is very good for anxiety and to relieve those types of situations and to calm people. There are various programs within the brain tap music and light therapy area for anxiety. I don't know that that would be a problem. A lot of folks have had very good success. In fact, I experienced some vertigo a couple of years ago, and I used the device because it is an inflammation type of thing to treat myself and to help get through the vertigo indication that I was dealing with. So certainly the brain tap may be able to be used in that case. Simply, however, a quick shout out to the customer service folks at Brain Tap. They'll answer all of those types of questions, can particularly get that question answered for you. But it's a good question, and the MagnaWave can also be used for those suffering from vertigo, just to give them a better sense of well-being and help them in the circulation and the blood flow to the head and brain. Got a network error on Castbox, but we'll see if that comes back and fixes itself up. I'm told you have CE on Maia machine. Is this true? That's John. Hey, John. Okay, we've been going through this a lot in the last couple of days. We have received certification for Health Canada, and we've received certification for Australia. We're still waiting for that magic number, but they did send us a letter that everything is fine, and we're waiting for the letter to follow through. The letter should be flowing through from the European countries as well. We're waiting for that. So we are so close, it hurts, but yet so far that we can't say that it's there. But that's where we are. Everything is completed. We have letters that everything is completed with regard to the safety testing, factory inspections, all turned over to the international body. They've sent letters saying, yes, everything is clear, and we have, in fact, used those letters a little bit this week in some dealings with some clients in Germany. But we're waiting for that elusive final letter that's got the number on it. And when you're dealing with these international bodies, they just kind of respond when they respond. But that's where we are, John. Everything is moving as we talked a couple of weeks ago. We are so much closer. We have in the United States, because of all these certifications and everything cleared with the safety testing, have gone ahead and submitted additional applications to the FDA for approval as a 510K predicate device. So that is ongoing as well. So that's where it is. Can I tell you definitively today that the stickers are being printed to go onto the machines? No. Can I tell you the stickers are designed to go onto the machines? Yes. And so it's just a matter of waiting for these situations. What we will do, because the stickers that go on the machines that show CE approval, they'll put the same number, they'll put the number from Canada, and they'll put this, or Health Canada, and the number for the CE qualification for European countries and or other countries around the world on the same sticker, basically. So until that happens, we'll submit a letter. When we ship into Canada, we'll submit the letter of approval showing that everything is in that piece. Perhaps people in Europe will accept the same letter that this is coming, but that's exactly where the situation is. John, I hope that helps. I have vertigo and nystagmus and feel a greater sense of clarity after using my MagnaWave Sol. There you go, Catherine. Thank you for sharing that. And it does. It simply does that. And that brings me to a question. Let's see if I can find it here. Anyone have advice on treating tennis elbow? Two things. All of that is covered in the training. The short answer is sure. You simply want to treat the elbow. If you're, tennis elbow is quite a bit like when you're dealing with ergonomic issues or carpal tunnel syndrome and those types of things. If you treat the hand and the wrist, you also want to treat the elbow, the shoulder, and the low back potentially, because you don't know where everything is radiating from. For example, my son-in-law has problems with his wrist. He's a musician as well as a jockey agent, but when he plays his bass, quite often he has problems with his hands and wrists, and it's all coming from his low back. So he treats his low back at the same time that he works to treat his wrists and hands. So you got to treat the whole area. So if you're treating tennis elbow, certainly treat the elbow, treat the area, but I would also treat the shoulder, the upper back, and low back at the same time, because if it's hurting here and you're feeling it, it's radiating back to here in some fashion, so you're feeling that pain. The brain recognizes primarily one main pain at a time. As I've shared before, when I first started treating racing jockeys, they would come in and complain about their low back bothering them. I'd treat their low back. They'd come back the next day and say, my God, my shoulders are hurting now. Well, the shoulders were hurting before, but the low back was hurting more. And so that's the pain that they were feeling. So the same thing when you're dealing with tennis elbow. You can get immediate relief on the elbow, but you want to treat other areas of the body for the referral or where it could be radiating from as you treat that type of condition. So, and certainly we're not treating to heal tennis elbow. All we're doing is putting this on the body to put energy into the area, improve oxygenation to the area, help take away inflammation, which then relieves the pain and allows the body to be in a position to better heal itself. So that's how we approach those particular types of situations. Let's see. A couple more questions here. Let me do this one first because it's kind of interesting. Is there a role for PEMF therapy in a dog with immune-mediated hemolytic anemia? They'd appreciate any info. hemolytic anemia is a condition where the body's red blood cells are dying off more rapidly than they are producing, and so you get an anemic type of situation. And is there a role for PEMF therapy in that? We don't, as we say all the time, you always want to check with your doctor, and we're not treating specific conditions. That's not our role, is to treat a specific condition. However, our role is to put this energy into the body, let the blood cells in the body respond to this energy by allowing them to take on more oxygen so the cells can better do their job. Could that application produce an effect that gives you the result that you're looking for? Perhaps, most certainly. And what, so what that is something to certainly consider. Can there be a role for PEMF in many different indications? Yes. And so it's easier, my way of saying it is, if you have a situation like that, improved blood flow, improved oxygenation, relaxation, relief of stress in the body, whatever is potentially causing that to occur, if you can just kind of bring things into better alignment, you might get a better result or a better condition in the body. So you're better to try than to not to try, in my estimation. You're not going to harm anything by doing that. You're simply just going to apply new, better energy to the body. So good question, and I appreciate that. Here we go over here. Karen writes, horses arriving just off the plane. They get IV fluids once settled. Should I wait any particular amount of time before MagnaWave? I've been giving 24 hours. For IV fluids, they're simply putting the fluids into the body to restore the fluids, to make the body good and good hydration, not hydration necessarily, but just good fluid levels in the body. Are you going to affect that by applying PEMF? No. Would you wait until the IV is complete? Yeah, I mean, if they're going to put the IV and do it for a few hours, and then once it's in, circulating through the body, for you to come in and again apply this energy to the body for better oxygenation, better health and blood flow, absolutely. Do you need to wait 24 hours? I don't think so. You might, only in a situation do people talk about if they're injecting a joint for inflammation reduction and they're using something and you want to let it be there and do its job for 24 hours and then go treat to help that work longer and to better be applied to the body. That certainly makes sense. But in this particular case, with an IV type of situation, once they're completed, once everything is, because it does, it's IV, it's going into the body, into the bloodstream immediately, and so once it's in place, then you can come back and treat the horse for hips or backs or whatever you want to do, just overall wellness and feeling good. Question number 2 they had, new Maias have counters. Can we get counters on the ones that don't? Lane told me a while back that it could be done, but it was going to get info and I haven't heard back. Best of my recollection anyway. I'm trying to put my head around the Maias with the new Maia Travelers.
The dots?
Need to look at that when you talk about, oh, I think I know what you mean. The new Maias have 10-minute timers that you can adjust the timer, if that's what your question is. The digital controlled Maias. The old ones simply had a 5-minute or a 10-minute timer. The answer is that could probably be retrofitted. I don't know what the factory would charge for that to happen, because they got to change out several things on the device. Certainly I'll pass that along, and we'll see if we can get an answer from the factory as what it would cost to replace the faceplate with the controllable timer that you're talking about. Great question. They make advances and change things, and that's as it is, and we want it to work for everybody as it does. But so we'll get into that and see what we can find out for you. Let's see. I had a horse have a strange reaction to a medium setting on a semi. He was doing well, all relaxed, with a large butterfly on his back, and then his back started to quiver and he started to kick out with his back legs. Ideas on what's going on? Well, Jody asked that question When you're releasing things, you put the wings on the back of the horse, you're treating a very large area. You're doing a lot of tissue. And so as you're freeing things up and things are changing, a couple of things. Number one, when you say quiver, if all of a sudden it's going, when you turned it off, of course this would be great if we were having a conversation that we could talk about this, but did the quiver continue? That could be a hydration issue, a vitamin supplementation issue, electrolytes, something that they need to have that. Could it be a situation that you're freeing things up and all of a sudden they're saying, oh wow, this is going on, and they could be fresh and that they're kicking out? Or they could be saying, I don't understand what's happening here, and so I'm reacting in this fashion. The best thing to do in that case is to stop and let it rest for a period of time, an hour, a couple hours, and come back and treat again and see how the animal does. It's really hard for them to tell us what's going on when you're doing that. But the thing that I would also question is, again, when you use the large wave wings on the body, you're stimulating a lot of tissue, a lot of area, so you really don't know where it's coming from when you have that. To treat with the butterfly, perhaps, to treat over those areas to where you're not stimulating so much tissue, it may be much more comfortable to the animal, and they'll accept it. And we've experienced that a lot in the past. The large loops stimulate more area of tissue. You get a lot of movement there, but you don't know if the movement is here or over here. Whereas the small, the paddle or the butterfly, you'll find that the movement is right here. You move over here and it's not there. But when you have the large loop, everything moves. And if there's something in there, in that area that you want to treat, but yet you're treating such a massive area, it could be a bit uncomfortable to the animal, which could be the result of what you were attempting to do. So that would be my recommendation if you did that. Because of the space that you were covering, I'd narrow it down, find the areas, and treat those areas. Great question, though. Let's see. The new Maias have minute counters to track time. Okay. Castbox isn't working, or should I just listen here? Hazel, let me take a look here real quick to Castbox. See if let me try to restart. I'm going to exit Castbox here, and I'll give that a second, and then we'll try to restart it. It's continue. Oh, I don't know what it's telling me. I don't know what's going on with Castbox. Hazel, network error detected. Please check network status. I don't know what's going on with Castbox, but it'll take me a few minutes to get after it. So Hazel, watch here. And we'll get that figured out, what's going on with Castbox. All right, another question. Hour meter. Some of the machines, I don't know where I thought most of the Maias and have hour meters to keep track of the hours that they've been used. We'll see if that's changed. I haven't looked at the newest model lately. What type of insurance do you recommend for the machine itself? I have liability insurance through Hands-On Trade, which has a ton of restrictions. I want to be certain everything is protected before starting to take clients. When you talk about the machine itself, Lynn, if you're talking about breaking the machine or something like that, you want to certainly have that on your homeowner's policy or your barn policy. You can get riders to cover the device for breakage or damage through the treatment process. With regard to the Hands-On Trade liability insurance, they do have some restrictions for equine application and some for human as to what they cover, what they don't cover, when it applies or doesn't. There are some other companies that provide insurance, although you'll see restrictions in a lot of different policies that you come with. We are, as we speak, we are doing a whole revamp of our insurance product here at MagnaWave and looking to be able to include a form of liability through MagnaWave or even through the, we've been working closely with the AOPP. They're going to work to provide the same type of thing. So the AOPP is working to have an insurance product as well. There was no insurance up until a few years ago that would cover us or cover you as practitioners when you dealt with equine animals or people. But the hands-on trade does offer bodywork coverage and is applicable to veterinary as well with some restrictions. You know, as I was saying, for years you couldn't get any form of insurance if you were not a doctor or something very specific, and so we had releases, we did the whole thing. What your clients want to know is that you have some coverage, and you want to know what that coverage is. And in fact, one of the things that we can offer, that we're working to have, is if you go to a show and they want to make sure that you have a certain type of coverage, we can, through our policy, can help support that type of coverage for you. Again, that's being designed as we speak. But again, I would not wait to have clients. I mean, you'll go all for years. I mean, you'll say, well, I'm going to check Ajax, or I'm going to check hands-on, or I'm going to wait and see what the AOPP does. Everybody's going to work to improve their insurance package and what they're offering and what they can offer. I would make sure that you have your releases that you're dealing with. I would make sure that you have the insurances there. I can't think since 2005 even, where even before that, where anybody's had a problem that they needed insurance. Certainly there have been issues where we've had $1 million horses that someone has insurance on their horse that will pay for treatments because the insurance company wants to do something they can do to help this particular animal or whatever. But to have someone who needed liability insurance because something happened to the detriment of an animal has never really been an issue for us or for any of the other companies that I'm aware of, because it's very difficult for this to provide a treatment or provide a result that is not what someone is looking for. It may not work, I mean, it may not provide what they want, but I have never seen a situation to where something was worsened or caused a serious problem from the insurance standpoint. I wouldn't go without insurance today if you can get it, which you can through hands-on trade and some other areas that are available, but you just have to deal with the restrictions that they have and go forward. If you want to talk about that further, please give me a call, send me a text. Let's see if we have any texts today from, I don't know where to go. Come on. No messages at that point. 502-599-9722 if you'd like to talk with me about one of these topics that we're covering today. And you'll be certainly eligible to win the gift bag of MagnaWave gear, which we'd love to present to somebody who gives us a call. All right, let's see. Hello, hi, well, from Germany. Thank you for being with us. She talks about my homeowners won't cover it unless I start a big business policy. Okay, we'll take that a step further. Also, to that end, your machine is under a 3-year warranty with an extended warranty beyond that. Certainly, theft, you want to, if that's an issue, and it could be, you're worried about theft or something like that. I don't know how big of a business policy you'd have to have, but let's take a look at those rates. If you get some rates, give us a call. We have some companies that we're working with that maybe we can get you a better rate to have something. Is it worth $500 a year to have your machine covered for theft or damage? Yes, but again, your machines are under warranty, and as far as internal issues, so that wouldn't be an issue. But it is something that we can talk about further, and we'll certainly have a look into that. I have a Sol that was used on an extremely low, barely on setting for only 10 minutes with the large butterfly coils to treat a warm blood with a history of having an adverse reaction. Didn't feel good after the last session someone else did months before. Any idea what could have caused this horse to have felt bad the day after the mild session, even though he has regular electrolytes, hydration, exercise, and care of grooms, trainers, and owners 24/7? Okay, and I don't know again what you're saying about feeling bad. What I would do is with the large butterfly coils, The next time I would treat that animal, I would not use the large butterfly coils. I would use the large loop, or I'd use the butterfly over the animal. It's possible, again, as I was saying a few minutes ago, that you're treating such a large area of the animal that even on a low setting, they're so sensitive to what's going on. Could they also, here's what typically what I always do when I was treating every day. If I treated a horse today and tomorrow he or she wasn't better, and I treated him again, and tomorrow they weren't coming along the way we wanted them to, and I treated him a third time, that was my number, 3, if it didn't begin to show some relief or some comfort to where we were going, to me, it became something that was certainly anatomical, certainly some other type of indication or something going on that a veterinarian needed to be involved. If we treat and the horse is looser and feeling better and going on about its business, great. Now, I will also say that I've had people over the years that I would treat their horse, and the next day they would say, my gosh, the horse was unruly, he wasn't happy, he didn't feel good, he was fresh. And what's the deal? Well, he feels good. If you're relieved, quite often you're, now agitation and not being able to walk are two different things, But sometimes you'll treat an animal and the next day they feel so much better that they are freer. They are a bit fresh, if you will. And so someone could misread that and think, what'd you do to my horse? I'm having trouble controlling him. Well, your horse feels good. And you need to deal with that horse that feels good and begin to handle him accordingly so he'll perform the way you really want them to. They weren't performing the way they wanted to, and then if they're a bit fresh, now what are we going to do? Well, that's really a situation that you might prefer. And the other situation is, when do you treat as far as the performance that you're going to have? Again, some people treat the day of the performance or the day of the work. Other people treat the day before. Some people treat 2 days before. Each animal is different and will react differently. But if you did something with the large wave wings on a setting and the animal reacted in a way you weren't accustomed to, number one, you should do it twice. Number two, I would try a different attachment just to see if you can narrow down where the situation is and treat that situation. You may have stimulated stuff just enough that you started it, but you didn't really get to exactly where the situation is that you want to add some energy to the body, to the mass of the body that you're dealing with. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, give me a call. Let's see if anybody is. Nope, no messages. That's okay. We got some time here to answer any questions. I have a client that is to have tonsils and adenoids removed. Can this help with pain after surgery? The doctor is not educated and didn't know about MagnaWave, so he didn't know if we should use it. And this goes back to what we've talked about before. Pain from surgery. Inflammation causes pain. MagnaWave PEMF can take the body and help it have less inflammation, and which can provide comfort to the body. It's very basic. It's covered very basically in our training, and it doesn't matter where necessarily the pain is. If they're having, if someone has a knee replacement, certainly they have inflammation and pain on their knee, and they will use a device, whatever it may be, to help relieve that inflammation and relieve that pain, and to help that knee be in a position to heal itself or heal the way the doctors want it to, or more rapidly. It's no different when you're talking about tonsils and adenoids. Once the wisdom teeth, when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, they pulled them all at one time, and it was miserable, but I treated myself immediately as soon as I got the bleeding under control, and it helped the inflammation reduction. It gave me more comfort and helped my recovery to be what I felt more rapid than what I would have received if I would have occurred if I didn't have any type of something to help me through that process. So again, the tonsils and adenoids are not something that you say, that it can't do that. What you need to give to the doctor, there's a very basic explanation on the front page of the website or in the brochures that simply talk about what this does to allow the blood to take on better oxygen, or have better uptake of oxygen in the body from the oxygen that's available, which reduces inflammation and relieves pain. Give that to the doctor and let them understand what's going on. Certainly they may say, well, let's wait 24, 48 hours after the tonsils and adenoids are relieved or removed to make sure that everything's in place the way we want it, and then begin to treat for comfort. Do you have to treat this specifically with the butterfly or something right on the area? No. You could simply place the large loop over the head, rested on the shoulders, and you're treating this way. You're going up and down, treating the shoulders, the lungs, the head, and the area where you've had the surgery to take place, and to, again, help provide some relief. You could simply treat the upper back and get better blood oxygenation. Where's it going? It's going to go to the area where you had the surgery. And so you can just treat the body for better blood flow and oxygenation, and you're going to help anything that's going on in the body. So that's the way to have a look at that. Let's see, sounds like exactly what the issue is. Feeling too good the next day during practice. There you go. And people called me, what did you do to my horse? Did you drug it? What'd you do? He's just, I can't control him in the ring. Well, he feels good. So anyway, that kind of stuff happened. Okay, recently bought a Pulse Pro machine. On my old low power machine, I could hold a magnet up to the coil and it would feel the magnet pulsing. All right. Why don't I feel the magnet pulsing with the Pulse Pro? Because it's a different type of signal. It's about the only way that I can explain that. A lot of low power devices, specifically the Response, Centurion, there's many other companies that make very effective low power devices, and that's how they tell that they're working. They've designed those coils and those systems that they hold the magnet over the coil and they can feel the magnet pulsing. You put your Pulse Pro coil on the body and you see it pulsing. You know, the fact that you can't hear it or feel it with the magnet, it's a different kind of signal. That we don't create a magnetic field that pulls. What the low power machines are doing, it's not pulling a magnet, but it's putting it's putting a little signal out there that you feel it pulsing in the magnet. I had those for years when I sold the Centurion devices. That's what we do. We put the blanket on the horse. The person would say, well, I see the light blinking, but I don't feel anything. Well, here, hold this magnet, hold it loosely. You can't hold it hard. If you hold it hard, you won't feel it. So you hold it loosely, put it up to the coil, and you feel the magnet pulsing. We use a lot of times speakers. We have a little speaker type of thing that we use, that if you got the machine very low, you can put that over it and you'll hear the clicking of the device. For example, with the Maia, not the Maia, but the Semi 3 and the Semi 5 and the Vesta Dual all have a low background signal that you can't feel and you can't hear it. But if you hold this little apparatus, this little speaker up to the coil, you'll hear it clicking in the background, so you know that it's working. But if you hold a magnet on it, by virtue of the type of signal that we're receiving, you won't feel it. So that's why you don't feel it with the magnet when you're talking about the low power machine. It does not mean that it's not working. There used to be machines, the gold boot. There was a boot that was made, it was a magnetic boot. They called it the gold boot and then the black boot, and I think they're still around. But what they would do is have a little thing like a transistor radio, and they'd turn it on and you hear in the background, kind of like our little speaker that we're using, but it had to be a radio signal that picked it up through the radio. So all kinds of devices have used different ways to demonstrate that they were in fact operating the way they want them to. Some devices I was looking at this morning from Russia that they use a light. They have a little apparatus, they hold it over the coil and the light blinks. And so it's just how they set it up and how they get something to make a reading. All right, let's see. Also had a friend my friend was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer and wants to treat it immediately. What is the protocol? She is not on chemo yet. We have some videos under testimonials on the website. Is that where the PLAR videos are, under testimonials?
I would just search use breast cancer and then pop up. Right?
Okay, so go to the testimonial page of the MagnaWave website, search cancer, or search PLAR, P-I-L-A-R, Davila, D-A-V-I-L-A, and we did a whole webinar series on what Pilar did for her stage 4 liver cancer, I believe she had, and used PEMF along with some other supplementation and so forth, and she got the results that she was looking for. Also, you can go to The Truth About Cancer. They've done a whole series on different modalities and different things that they do and use for the treatment of tumors and those types of situations in the body. Vitamin C intravenously, other types of things that they use a lot. That's there. And certainly Dr. Marty, there are some testimonials by Dr. Marty, what he has used for tumor reduction and cancers in his veterinary practice. So all of this can be places that we can learn from. Cancer is cancer, whether it's in a dog or a horse or a person. And so certainly that's what, I can't tell you, we don't treat specific indications or specific conditions. Talk to your doctor, but you can do a lot of research and see what people have done and what devices and modalities they've used for cancer reduction and tumors and so on and so forth. So that was certainly something to look at. Okay, been working on a client with elbow pain radiating to the hand, affecting grip. Okay, possible tennis elbow. Okay, not getting much relief. I have the Maia. Have used the butterfly and the paddle. Any suggestions would be appreciated. When you're dealing with nerve issues in the wrist or the hand, you have to, number one, know really where they're coming from, and you have to do it a lot, if you will. And I'll quickly tell this story. My wife, 3 herniated discs, couldn't raise her arm above here, constant pain. It really took us about 90 days of treatments. She got relief after one treatment. She could get a few hours of relief or a day of relief or 2 days of relief after a couple of treatments. But to get her to the point to where she got 4 weeks worth of relief, it took us about 90 days of treatments. Once that was completed, she could treat herself once or twice every 3 to 4 weeks, and she'd get 3 to 4 weeks worth of relief. So my thing here is if you're treating the area, it could, for example, this thumb on my left hand it has bothered me for a couple of years. I learned through my chiropractor that it's from here. So when I can feel it. So when I have issue here, this really is tender, can't hardly use it. I mean, if I want to button my trousers or do something, this is like nothing. But when I treat here and here, I get much better. I can feel it right now, but I can use it. And I treat myself in that capacity every day or every night to treat this area of my neck and my thumb and wrist. And that's how it's related. When I treated my wrist and thumb, nothing, because it was coming from here. I don't know if that's how I sleep, how I drive, whatever. Don't know. How I hold my head, I don't know, but something. But you have to figure out where that correlation is. As I spoke earlier about my son-in-law, who has real issues with his wrists and his hands and fingers when he plays his bass guitar for hours, as he does when he plays gigs. And this doctor said it's all coming from your low back. You need to treat that in addition to your elbow and wrists and so forth. So that'd be my recommendation. And one treatment's not going to do it. It could take multiple treatments to get to where you want, because it's much harder for the body to get inflammation out of a nerve or cartilage than it is out of muscle and soft tissue. And so you can get that pain out of the muscle, soft tissue, and inflammation pretty quick. But when it's into the nerve area that you have to deal with, it's going to take some time to get that out. So patience is the key. Just stay on the route. Look for other areas that it could be. And I had this thing in my neck. I mean, I'd get up and think, well, I got a little, but it didn't bother me. I'd go about my day and do my deal, and it's a little tight once in a while. I'd get enough that I'd take a couple of aspirin or something to try to, or an Advil or whatever, to try to relieve it. I just did not make the correlation that from here to here until someone told me you need to do that. Brings me to a story. I was treating horses. I think I might have been in Ocala, Florida, treating these horses, and I had done something and kind of hurt my knee. and it was really hobbling me. I was just kind of gimping around, and I'm sitting there treating these horses, and this woman walks up to me one day, and I'm complaining about my knee. And she kind of looked at me, and I said, "What is it, Cookie? What do you?" She said, "Do you treat yourself?" And I kind of, well, no. So I went home, started treating my knee, and immediately it was better. And you just got to think about what's going on and apply it to those types of situations. Hope that helps. And let's see if we've had anybody call. Someone's going to, how do I get this thing to come on here? Here it is. Nope. Okay. I'm going to get the gift bag today because I'm talking.
Yep. Feeling good on you.
Okay, let's see. Makes total sense. Thank you. I've been using Centurion magnetic machines on my horses and the gold boot. Those are the devices I was referring to. Thank you for your advice on PLAR. Yeah, I mean, Centurion devices are fine. They're lower power devices. You don't feel them, and they take longer to work. But that's okay. They're very relaxing, and if that's what you use. I have a lot of folks that will use, and I kind of do this myself. I did it when I tore my medial MCL. I treated myself twice a day with the high-powered machines, really rocking the area. Then I would wear a low power device on my knee throughout the day to keep supporting what I was doing. And folks will do that. So they will have devices and use them accordingly. And so there's a good use if you have a Centurion blanket or you're doing something like that and you treat the back of the horse with kissing spine. That brings me to a question that someone asked earlier. Kissing spines or just overall back pain, you can treat the area and get some response that you want to, and then they can use a supporting device to help keep things in check, help keep things the way you want them to be. So that's a thought. Let's see, no other questions there. Okay, let's see. We did have a question. Let me pull up this Facebook here and see if I can find that. Let me go here. I don't want that. Oh, here we go. That's good. Oh, corporate. I don't want that page. I want to get to my group. Okay, let me see if I can find. It's a new device, or I don't know if it's a new device. Somebody's using a device. Let me get the question. Okay, anyone have any thoughts on MagnaWave versus an FES machine in horses for kissing spine or back pain? Any protocol for kissing spine horses with the MagnaWave? Treat them. Put the coil up there, use the large wave wings, treat the whole upper top line of the body, treat it at a very comfortable setting. You're going to improve oxygenation, improve blood flow, help relieve the pain associated with it. If it's true kissing spine, doesn't have inflammation issues, but it is bone on bone type of situation from an injury or something like that, you can relieve it. Are you going to reverse it? No. If it's an inflammation type of deal to where they've got some compression to things are going on, and by relieving inflammation, relieving the pain there, can you help alleviate the overall situation? Yes, but certainly. So the FES machine, so let me pull that up. Okay, that's the anemia that we were talking about earlier. Let me find out the other one. Oh, where'd it go? FES is, they call it something for the F, electrical stimulation. And I looked at the device, and it looks to me, and there's been some devices that have done this, it's a mat that they place on the back of the horse, and they're calling it electrical stimulation. But in their description, what they're talking about is it generates an electrical signal that penetrates the body up to 4 inches. When you get enough of buildup of the electrical power, it causes a pulse to go in. Well, I bet if we dug real deep, it could be a PEMF device. It doesn't look like a TENS device that you put gel on the horse and attach the electrodes to stimulate a particular area of muscle. It looks like a mat that you'd put up on the back of the horse. It talks about penetrating 4 inches, which is wonderful, but will penetrate 16 to 40 inches depending on the muscle content and the moisture content in the body. So will it work? It sounds like it works. I read about the people that are using. That's what the device does. Versus they're both doing the same thing. Do you need to use them both? I wouldn't think so. Can you use one instead of the other? If that's what somebody wants to use or wants to do, if it's a veterinary practice that's got it, which the one piece I looked at is a veterinary practice. But so as far as your customers are concerned, again, go to look at the training, talk about how you talk about what you're doing and how people understand what you're doing, but to talk about the penetration of 16 to 40, 16, 20, 40 inches, whatever it may be, the fact that we are improving blood oxygenation, we are improving, are allowing blood flow to be improved with the energy that we're providing. I'm not trying to throw somebody under the bus. That's not what I do. But you do have a product in MagnaWave and in PEMF that will certainly address what those folks are doing. But you're going to run into somebody, a veterinarian's using this, or a doc is using this, or another competitor, another practitioner is using that, and they're going to say that theirs is better, or theirs will do the job. And in many cases, there are many products that are very complementary with each other. Lasers and MagnaWave and even electrical stim or ultrasound. All these things can work wonderfully in concert together, kind of like in musicians in a band. A guitar player is great, but you add bass and an organ, now you got something. You put a drummer in, now you really got the beat flow or whatever. So concert is good. And although in many cases one modality will work just fine. So you just need to keep that in mind. How you talk, how you express what you're doing is how people are going to believe you. If you don't know and you can't say that you know, then people are going to think you don't know. And so you need to understand how you understand and project yourself. I always say good bedside manner goes a long way. Not that that a person has bad bedside manner, but you really do need to understand deeply what it is and be able to speak that in a manner that people believe you. If you believe it, they'll believe you, and that it will really help their particular animals or help the situation out. Okay, let's see. Can you talk about treating glaucoma? Has it been successful helping lower eye pressure? There are testimonials and people who have talked about using PEMF like this to decrease eye pressure. And we've experienced that personally in our family to a point to improve the eye pressure. These situations, if you get on them early to keep them from developing, is the key. If you wait till they're there and they're causing the real problems that they cause, are you going to reverse it? That's not what we're about. We're about keeping health, helping stay healthy, and going forward. Our deal is staying healthy, really. Now we can use it to help reverse or help injuries heal in a more rapid fashion with inflammation reduction and so forth. But if someone has glaucoma and you treat them for that to relieve pressure, to improve the circulation in their eyes, in their optical nerves, so on and so forth, can that help to slow something down? Maybe. Can that help the overall situation? Maybe. Each person is different, but I certainly would you're not going to hurt anything by trying to do this to help the situation. But the real secret is to do it so it doesn't get worse or slows down the onset, is by having good blood flow, good oxygenation is what we're talking about, helping the body to do with the energy that we provide. Hope that helps with that type of issue. Cataracts. My doc says to me, damn things happen as you age a little bit, but I went and had my eyes checked. I got a scratch in an eye, and I was in there, and he looked at everything. Well, you got some cataracts. Probably in a year, we're going to need to go in and take those out. And immediately I started thinking, well, I'm going to keep treating myself, and I'm a treating fool. I've told people this: if you videotaped me overnight using some of the machines that I use at different times, it'd be a circus, because I'm going all the time, trying to stay ahead of the game. Had any experience with people who have had degenerative neurological diseases, ALS, multiple system atrophy? If so, what are the outcomes? There have been folks with various indications like this who have used this form of energy therapy to relieve symptoms. They feel better. Sometimes they have symptom reduction, and to deal with. And that, again, it doesn't. The energy is there. You can apply it and hopefully get the person feeling better. Again, maybe get some reduction in the symptoms that they're experiencing. So, and again, you might look under the testimonials. You'll see all types of testimonials with nerve-related types of situations. Well, we do have a message here, and I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. Here we go. Let me open this. Here we go. Got a number. Ashley is calling. Let's see what we got. One ringing.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ashley. This is Pat. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. What can I help you with?
Well, I just wanted to share an experience that we had yesterday treating a Parkinson's client of mine.
Okay.
And we generally will treat him on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
We start the session with 10 to 15 minutes on the mat. The mat only covers so much of his body,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll do that the upper half, and that setting is dependent on him. It's of course what's comfortable.
Correct.
And so then we'll treat the low half of his body, and it's always been on him laying on his back.
Okay.
And so, yesterday we decided, why don't you go ahead and try to lay on your front, just lay on your belly, and see how that goes. And so we treated him in his upper half of his body, laying on his belly, and he fell asleep. Well, when he woke up, it was 15 minutes. He woke up and he said, "Oh my gosh, my foot is not tremoring anymore." So, he had persistent tremors in his foot where his toes would just be turning and cringing all on their own all day long.
Oh my gosh.
And right, all day long. And that was one thing that when we first started treating him, also this is his 5th treatment, so keep that in mind. Only 5 treatments, max 20 to 25 minute sessions total. And so anyhow, yesterday when we treated him on the front, the tremor completely stopped, didn't come back. And I have yet to hear from him today, but with those that are asking about neurodegenerative with Parkinson's, I just found that we had just been treating the back of his body or his neck and his feet. And so then when we flipped him and had him on his front, completely changed how he felt afterward. And of course he fell asleep on the mat, which he hadn't done before.
You always say the greatest invention in the world was a thermos, because how do it know? How does it know to keep this cold and this hot? But so how did the body know to put him on his stomach and to treat from the chest inward, that you get a different result than when you treat from the back? Anatomically, to explain that would be a very interesting conversation with someone. However, when you think about the lungs, and were you getting up to his neck?
Yes, yeah, he was his head and face were completely on the mat. It's a 40-inch mat.
Right. So you were treating. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were treating his head, his neck, his upper shoulders, and his chest from the front.
Yeah.
So you did have involvement from as far as the spine is concerned and all of that, but again from the front as opposed to the back. I've always been amazed with horses. I would go treat a horse's neck, and I would and knowing that this signal is passing all the way through the body and going out the other side. But I would treat the left side of the neck and get a movement, and when I would go to the right side of the neck, I'd get no movement. Now, wait a minute. The signal's going all the way through. Why am I seeing it on one side and not the other?
Exactly.
How does it know? I don't know.
Right.
And so, you may have gotten yourself in a situation there, not gotten into a situation, but you may have approached it from a different manner that all of a sudden, bingo, that's what it needed for the feet. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing
Right.
that.
Yeah, and you're welcome. And also, we had been treating with those small butterfly. He would lay on the mat, and that would be kind of like the warm up, if you will. And then we would treat the low neck and possibly the top of his head, but and then his feet, always his feet. And so yesterday, because he fell asleep laying on his belly, I asked him, "Would you like to treat your neck today?" And he said, "Honestly, no. I feel really good right now. Like, I just feel like that little 5-minute or 10-minute nap I just took. I'm good." And then he said, "My foot's not tremoring anymore." He said, I'm just kind of in shock right now.
That's amazing.
So, right. So, and I guess those listening, it might be worth trying something that you haven't done at all, especially on the front of the body. I don't know. I can't say how we would do it. I mean, I guess we would just start treating him from the front with the other attachments. But because I have the mat, I just had him lay on his front.
And you're getting it. They're all doing the same thing. The mat just covers more area, and that was incredible. Yep.
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you.
With those asking.
Good, and I appreciate that,
welcome.
because you can say some things that I really can't say. But that's great sharing that. We appreciate that. You might write that down and send it in to us, because that's a great thought and learning testimonial that we can share with some docs, and they can add some thoughts to that. Send an email to support@MagnaWave PEMF, and looks
Yes,
like
sir.
you're the wiener. It looks like, unless somebody calls right now, but we're getting ready to wrap it up. So, hey, thanks a lot.
Sure.
Thanks for reaching out.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, Tony, good morning. Tony's with us. One last question, then we need to move on. Good morning. Any way MagnaWave can affect the rhythms of the heart? Over the years, again, we are not creating a magnetic field that pulls anything or does anything. We're not creating an electric signal that could potentially go into the body in that fashion. We've not really experienced any issues where it changes a rhythm of the heart. There's been many people who have AFib. Dr. Marty talks about it a lot with a friend that he knows that have used this type of energy and have reduced their symptoms and improved their quality of life just with the energy delivery supplementation to the body. And so, but it never experienced. My wife has an ascending aortic aneurysm, a wire mesh heart repair, 3 stents in her heart, and she's a lovely person, and you would not know looking at her that she's had any of these issues, but she's had some issues, and she treats her back and chest regularly. Her doctors know, not an issue. They didn't have a problem. In fact, I could talk about her aneurysm. We'll do that another time, because that gets really interesting. But and she's had no issues at all, and other people have had the same type of situation, that they've had things around the heart. Certainly, pacemakers and defibrillators we stay away from, because they are battery operated. We don't want to run down the batteries. We don't set them off, but we don't want to run down the batteries that if a body needs it, it's not there to do its function. So there are pacemakers today that doctors are allowing treatment a foot or so away. So if they have a pacemaker, they can treat their back or their hips or their legs, that type of thing, just to stay a foot away from the location of the pacemaker. Great questions. Thank you so much for being here this morning. We'll get the Castbox deal figured out. Need to, because I want to do another program on Castbox starting this week, hopefully. At any rate, thank you for joining me. We appreciate you being here. We look forward to coming back next week. Have a great week. Wave on to better health. Have a good one. Bye.